Women Up Radio, designed to facilitate women's empowerment, improve your career, develop your talents, incorporate your passions, achieve fulfillment and success.
Hello, this is Women Up Radio, supporting Empower Women, and today we're talking about the active role of women working in local government and how you can make a difference. I'm joined in the studio by my guest, Lesley Clarke OBE, a district councillor since 1991, charter trustee for the town, mayor in 94-95, then county councillor and council leader, awarded the OBE in 2013, and now chairman of the society which has started the Suffrage Pioneers Project to celebrate 100 years of universal suffrage. So a lifetime of local government leadership. Welcome back to the programme, Lesley.
Thank you very much indeed, Anna. Thank you.
So last time you were on Women Up Radio, we talked very much about the place of women in local government and the suffragette movement. Today, I would like to talk more about the practical side of what we can do and how we can start doing it. So can you tell us what local government really does? Because I think many of us are a bit unsure about what really happens.
Of course. I think we've got a problem in that we have 3 tiers of local government. We have what is known as a parish council. We have 4 tiers. A town council, we have a district council, and we have a county council. Mm-hmm. And all of them do different things. If you were to look specifically at the district council versus the county council, the services that a district council offers are things such as collections of bins and community, your parks and things like that.
Yeah. The
provision of playing fields so you can play football or whatever. Whereas the county is more strategic, looking at transport, so your roads, highways, getting rid of the waste that the district councils collect, street lighting and all those things.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you add in the complications of unparished areas, which the town in which I am in, High Wycombe, is unparished. Therefore, we don't have a town council or a parish council. And then, you have town councils and you have parish councils, and you all take on different roles, which are usually devolved down from either the district or the county councils.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of mix up, and quite frankly, I can understand why people are totally confused, because the number of times you'll ring up a council and say, I need to talk to this, and they'll say, oh, sorry, wrong council.
Yeah.
They can't talk to you about it. It does have to go to the council that's dealing with it, because you need to have the proper information on how to deal with whatever issue you have.
Yeah.
Yes, not easy.
No, it's definitely confusing. So, but I think, well, personally anyway, I feel that a lot of us would like to step up and really take part, but we're not sure about the future and we're not sure where government is going. So can you briefly tell us a bit more about the changing face of local government, because it does seem to be evolving quite a lot, and also its role in democracy?
Absolutely. The district councils run the elections, so the democratic part of any election is run by your district council, and they're the people who decide where you're going to vote. They will make sure that all the paperwork is done, and they are the people that administer the electoral process.
Yeah.
And they do it very well. They've had years of perhaps perfecting the way any election is done. So one of the things that we do have, and as if I was going to stand for election, what you tend to do is you either belong to a party, or if you're an independent, it's very much that you do a lot of your canvassing on your own. And canvassing is where you would knock on doors, and ask the person if they would, consider voting for you.
Yeah.
Or you might hold surgeries where you would tell people exactly what you're going to do. but you would deliver to all those people in your ward or division. A ward is for a district council and a division is for a county council. What your promises are for that, the next 4 years. And you would tell people what you had achieved and what you hope to achieve over the next 4 years. So you explain to people your offer.
Yes.
It's obviously up to the person who's going to vote how they're going to vote.
They do or they don't.
Exactly. I think the problem that a lot of councillors find is it's amazing the number of people on the doorstep who tell you they have never voted and they have no intention of voting.
Why? I can't understand that. Because if you want change and positive action,
absolutely,
you've got to say something. You can't just bury your head in the sand. Anyway, this is me having my rant, right? But
you're quite right. In fact, if you are not prepared to go out and vote, then surely you don't have the right to criticise what is being in place. So
exactly.
You do, and when you think, talking about women voting in particular, when you think that it's only 100 years ago that women got the vote, and those women that fought for women to have the vote, they were they were just dealt with so dreadfully that you just have to think, we should, out of all honesty, support those women that did that for us.
Yes, exactly.
And I do think people, if people say to you, well, I've never voted, it's not a clever thing to say, because not only for women, but for men also, when you think about toll puddle martyrs and things like that, people have been, people have done a lot for us to get the vote.
Yes.
And women were, in Britain were a long way, were not the first women to get the vote. And even today, there are women who don't have the vote. So, we're still working towards that.
Coming back to actually becoming part of local government, well, if we want to become involved, how do we go about it and what do we need to do? I mean, really from the practical point of view, because you mentioned about canvassing and things like that, but obviously we have to do something before that to officially be accepted or register or something. So what do we need to do?
I'll talk you through coming up to an election and how things are done. We all know that the election will be the first Thursday in May. Now, you work back from that, and usually the first week in March, you have to put in a paper registering you in a division or a ward of where you're going to stand. And on that piece of paper, which you would get from the council, there would be 12 slots that you have to go and get people in that ward or division to sign to support your nomination.
Okay.
There is no point in you going to anybody else, so you can't go to Auntie, whatever, who lives in Scotland. And you have to make sure that those 12 people are on the electoral roll of the ward or division that you're going to stand.
Okay.
So you will get that paper from the council, and with that it will tell you what is happening. You will also be given an electoral roll to make sure. You can ask for that because you can inform people you are considering standing, and you can get an electoral roll of the people in the ward or division that you're standing, so that you know they are on the electoral roll. And it is best that you do that rather than think, okay, a number of times people say, oh yes, I'll sign your paper, Lesley, no problem, and then you find they're not even on the electoral roll, so that's not going to help you.
Yes.
So you have to get that, and it has to be checked against the electoral roll, and you then become one of the people standing in that ward or division. Prior to that, obviously, you're going to be looking at the issues that beset that area.
Yeah.
And it could be that there's something like, where you are, you've had this criminal act.
Yeah.
And you have decided that you're going to do something about it, and the only way you can do something about it is to become elected.
Yes.
So you could be on a one-item ticket. You might make something that's being planned that's absolutely gross in your area, or this, that, and the other, and that is, and that a lot of other people also say, and you're going to be the vanguard and be out there and shout and what about it.
Yep.
Or there can be quite a few issues that you think need to be done. If you're standing for county council, it could be the roads are awful, street lighting is bad, education's not right, adult social care or children's care, all that. It could be one of those issues that, is what you're fighting for.
Yep.
So you would actually put that in your electoral leaflet that you will be posting through every door of the area which you want to represent.
Okay.
And you obviously walk that area, deliver your leaflets. You would then go again to the area, and you would pick off areas that you would do more or less every day for a month. So say, the election's on the 4th of May or the 5th of May. You would then work on, say, the whole of April. You will do 2 hours canvassing every night so that you cover the whole area where you are hoping to represent.
Yep.
Is done. It's really good because you become incredibly fit. And in Wickham is even better because as a charter trustee, we have this dreadful thing of we're weighed in public to make sure we haven't put on any weight in the previous year.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, how funny.
No, it's not. So you would go and you would knock on the door and you would say that you're standing for election, this, that, and the other, and could you call on that person's vote? And quite often, that person will say, yes, I'll vote for you. So you tick them off as a thing, that they will. You can call people, you can ring people, but quite frankly, I've never done that because I don't like people ringing me at night and saying, it's like being a double glazing salesman.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
And also, knocking on the doors, people will
They
say,
recognise you.
Yes, and also they'll say, I'm not voting for you, dirty, or yes, thank you for doing such and such. So there is the input.
Yes.
So you've done your leaflet, you delivered your leaflet, you've done your canvassing. And then the 2 or 3 days before the election, all the people who have said to you that they're going to support you, you would just put a little note through their door and saying, something like, remember the election is on Thursday, whatever, between the hours of, don't leave it to others because they might be leaving it to you, or, your vote really does count, that sort of thing.
Yes.
And you go out and deliver that little leaflet to the people that supported you.
Yes.
It could even be a picture of yourself and what is showing the ballot paper with your name and a tick by it, so that you're telling people, so that is really the way that you would do your canvassing in for your election.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
So obviously you would need to decide whether you want to belong to a party. I'm a Conservative councillor, and obviously working with other Conservatives, you have you all work with each other. You might find that you might have an evening and you'll say, okay, I can come and give you a couple of hours. Your MP might come out for you one night.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of that going on. If you're an independent, yes, there are other people who are independent, and you do have people that are on one ticket. They don't want to belong to a political party, which you can understand.
Yep.
It's not unknown for them to win.
Yes.
With ratepayers, they're the same. So you do choose how you're going to be elected.
Yeah.
Then on the election day, you might have some people that need to be taken to the polling station.
Yeah.
You might decide that you're going to stand at the polling station and just tick off the people you know that say they're going to vote for you.
Yes.
And by 10 o'clock on the Thursday of voting, you are absolutely on your chin strap. You can't do any more. And then the count might start at midnight, or it might be delayed till the following day.
Okay.
And then obviously you attend the count, and you just hope to goodness the hard work you've done will actually help you get in.
Yes. Yeah. So,
I think the problem this year, the next election, is that if you belong to a political party and people have been upset in the way the government has dealt with issues, it can be the local district council or the local county council that take the rap for those decisions.
They suffer, yes. Yeah.
So, it's not just a case you might have worked your socks off, you might have done something really wonderful, but and if you go back to when Ken Clarke put VAT on fuel, which was a European Union decision, the district councillors who were Conservatives were decimated because of that.
Oh, really?
So there are a lot of little bits and pieces that could happen.
Yeah.
You could have done a fantastic job as Conservative councillor, but because somebody has done in government, it could impact on whether the Conservative element will get back in a district or a county council.
Yeah.
And it is like that. It fluctuates.
Yep. Yep. Okay. And so, what do you think? What are the added benefits that women bring to the community when they're taking an active role in local government? Do you think it makes a big difference being a woman, or are local government roles pretty sort of neutral from a gender point of view?
I do think women do bring a different view. It's very easy for, and I'm not a raving feminist, but I think we do need to look at the times that we hold our meetings. They're usually 7 o'clock in the evening or 6:30, which impact on family, especially if you've got a family. And a lot of young women with young families say that they can't get away at that time, which I understand.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is that you do have to be pretty resilient, because there is a lot of, I wouldn't say it's catcalling, but you can be accused of things that you think, actually, that's not quite true, but it's all part of the political banter, I suppose you put it down. And sometimes it can be quite distressing, and I accept that because it's happened to me too.
Oh, really?
So, I do know, it can be, because people can attack you for what you're wearing, or
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Oh, God, how ridiculous!
Yes, and it is, and it's trying to undermine your confidence in trying to do the job that you're hoping you're doing you're doing well.
Yeah.
But it's difficult.
Yeah.
And I think women look at things in a different way. That it's not always black and white. There's, especially when it comes to community issues, sometimes, and I think this then goes back to an issue that I have a worry with, in that when you look at councils across the country, a lot of women end up doing the housing portfolio or the environmental services portfolio or the community portfolio.
Yeah.
You never see them in the property portfolio or the, dare one say, the budgets, or the money areas.
Oh, really?
And I think if you look at that, you'll find that is still happening today, as it did 50, 75 years ago. And the other thing that you'll not find is, or if it ever happens, and it is very rare, it's quite normal to have a man leader and a man deputy leader.
Yeah.
it's quite normal to have a woman leader and a man deputy leader, or a man leader and a woman deputy.
Yeah.
But it is very, very, very rare that you will have a woman leader and a woman deputy.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's interesting. God, people are so narrow-minded. So,
yeah. So, you do have to have that. And I know when I was leader of council, and I would follow my deputy leader in, people would think that he was the leader, and quite often they would say, "Oh, I'd have a cup of coffee, please." And fine, no problem. Cup of tea, cup of coffee. And then you'd sit down and you would call the meeting to order, and people were staggered.
They'd die of embarrassment.
Yeah, because they had automatically assumed that you were in the secondary position. And that happens to women MPs as well as women councillors.
Oh, God. We've still got such a long way to go. But, okay, you were talking about the different sectors or that people were involved in, like property and community and things like that. So what are the range of roles or positions that we can aspire to if we do get elected?
Right, so say you did get elected, you, in the council that I'm with, we have an executive, which has the number of cabinet members that the leader wishes. Where I am at the moment, I think is 8.
Yeah.
And they cover anything from, dare one say, finance, housing, environmental services, which covers car parking, waste, lighting, you name it.
Yeah.
You then get backbenchers, and you have committees also in council. So in where I am, we have regulatory and appeals. So anything that's to do with regulations or appeals from planning, they would come into our area. And so you'd have a chairman and vice chairman of that. Yeah. You could be a chairman and vice chairman. We have a planning committee, which is quasi-judicial, which means that you have to follow the rules that have been set down by government for planning, because they are strict. And again, you'd have a chairman and vice chairman, or you could be a committee member. We have what we call a town committee, because we have no parish council for the unparished area. And again, it's a chairman and vice chairman, and every unparished ward councillor is on that. So we have quite a range. And we also have something called improvement and review, which is like scrutiny.
Yes.
And we have a scrutiny committee, again, chairman and vice chairman, and you could be one of those. You also are put on outside bodies. So if the council is asked to provide a councillor to sit on, say, the board of Citizens Advice Bureau, you could be put on to that. You could be asked if there's there is a charity that is asking for a councillor to be on their board. You could be asked to sit on that. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of things that you can be involved in and doing.
You are listening to Anna Letitia Cook at Women Up Radio.
Do you need any kind of special training or to come from a particular background to enter in any of these?
Oh, absolutely not. You get training on the job.
Yeah.
I remember when I first joined, there was no training. I went in and
got on with it.
I was very good at talking to people.
Yeah.
The first time I sort of, I made a speech in one of the committees I was on, I think I read it about 100 miles an hour because I was so
panic.
And it is a good idea to write down what you want to say.
Yeah.
And it is a good idea, if you know that you're going to be saying anything, is to read it several times out loud at home.
Yes. Yeah.
So that you don't stumble over the words and make yourself a bit of a wally.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
If you're going on a one-item thing, absolutely not. You're there fighting for that one item.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have that information.
Yep. Yes, because if it's something you're passionate about, you research it anyway, just a natural interest. So,
Yes.
and okay, so the work that we would do in local government, normally, is it on a volunteer basis, or is it as a part-time job or a full-time job, or what type of commitment do we need to give to achieve something positive? Because I'm sure a lot of people who work would like to do something, but I'm not really sure how it works. To me, it's got an element of charity, doing it for free just because you want to help the local community. But then obviously it can't be that, because it's got to be properly done. So what is it? Enlighten my ignorance.
Okay. If you're on a parish council, it's unlikely that you will receive any allowances. And likewise for a town council, again, although you can receive up to £750 a year for being a town councillor. But it's the decision of that council.
Yeah.
A district council, the council that I'm on, we pay 500 and something pounds a month for your attendance. We also pay a mileage allowance, and that is taxed at the normal rate. You are it's an allowance, so you pay tax on it. If you're the leader or an executive, you would get quite a lot more. So yes, you do get an allowance. And if you're a county council, it's even more because of the more you do. Yeah. And but the time element, it could be that you're on 2 or 3 committees that meet every 6 weeks. You have to attend some of those. You have to attend some of those meetings during 6 months. Otherwise, you can be considered that you're not doing the job properly. And you can be asked to resign, and the possibility of going out to a by-election because you can't do the job. And yes, you do have an issue with, recently I was, I fell and broke my leg, and I was off for 4 months.
Oh God, I remember that, yes.
Yeah. So, you do have to have that. It didn't stop me doing my work as a counsellor, because I've got computers, I've got iPads, I've got phones, I can talk to officers, people come in with an issue, I can deal with it. So it doesn't stop you doing the job. And I think today with more IT work, and I have an iPad for my county council work as I do for my district council work, your emails never stop. They're there all the time. If you go, I went away for a fortnight once, and my husband said, "You're not taking your iPad with you. You're not doing any emails."
Yes.
I came back to 600 emails.
Oh, God.
So it's easier to, and I know it sounds awful, to take it with you.
And keep on top of it.
You keep on top of it. You then don't spend the next 3 or 4 weeks when you come back trying to get through the guff.
Yes.
So, yes, there is a lot, but the actual achievement of doing something for somebody, of helping them through the log jam of, oh no, don't talk to me, you have to talk to such and such, you don't talk to me, you talk to so and so, and sent around the houses. The actual achievement of getting a proper result, in particular for that person who needs that help, is second to none. And that's what you're there for. You're there to make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think it's so interesting. And that's why I think there are so many people that really would like to do it if they knew more about it, which is obviously why I've asked you to do this, so that people understand much better what's involved. And so for somebody who really does want to make a positive contribution, but maybe doesn't have much time, or just wants to dip their toe in the water to get more of a feel for it, are there any other linked areas that would lead towards local government but not be too much of a time commitment, or if someone's not entirely sure? Is there anything else that can give us like a feel for it?
They can become involved in local areas. With the county council, we have something called the local area forum.
Yeah.
Where members of the public can come along and tell people, that they've got problems. We also have something called the neighbourhood action group, which they can come along, and that's more of a local thing. So they can become involved.
Yeah.
They could also talk to their local councillor, because I think any local councillor would be thrilled to explain exactly what they do.
Yeah.
And I think the amount of time you want to do and put into it is the amount of time that you want to do, really.
Yes. Yes.
You can get involved in helping other councils. You go out and you stay with for 3 or 4 days at another council. You help them through perhaps a torrid time with them. But you always come back with something that they do that you think is a fantastic idea.
Yes.
That you could implement somewhere else.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do. Talk to the local government association in London.
Yeah.
They would be more than willing to talk to somebody. Look up Be a Councillor on their website. Because again, they would love to be able to help more people into being, a councillor. And I think that, yes, it'd be lovely to get more young people involved, and more women, because there are not a lot of women involved at all. And it is the time element. It is the woman is considered the family carer.
Yeah, yeah. No, but I know from talking to you last time when we did the interview about the suffragettes and everything like that, and you touched on some of the aspects of local government, and I found it completely fascinating. And I'm probably the least political person you could find, from parties and things like that. But the idea of actually being able to improve things in the local community by doing something good or using your talents, to help get something achieved. It's fascinated me, and it's really motivated me to want to be involved. And I'm sure there are hundreds and hundreds of people that are interested as well, but they just don't know how. And when you think about it, you're like, well, I don't even know where I could find the information, and I don't want to commit myself if I don't know. And, so that's why it's so interesting to hear all of this from you. But, okay, a last question, because I know we've gone way over time, but it's just so interesting. So any recommendations or advice that you think that we really need to know about before we step into it, or that would help us to launch ourselves into this type of really very rewarding work?
First off, as I say, look at the Local Government Association website. It's called Be a Councillor. Do not take for gospel that it's only a small amount of your time. And you don't have a lot of reading to do, because that's an absolute fallacy.
Right.
And because quite often you'll talk, no, it's only probably about an hour or so a week, and you might get some reading to do beforehand. Yes, I can remember the books that arrived on my doorstep, but it's the enjoyment of actually doing things. You belong to, obviously, your political group.
Yeah.
You do not have to follow your political group's decision if you think it's going to reflect badly on the people you represent.
Oh, really? Well, that's even better. Right.
Because that is something that I think a lot of people think, I've always got to go. No, the rules are there that, you're supposed to follow the whip. However, if you believe that impacts badly on the people you represent, you actually say, I'm sorry, I can't agree with that because of this, that and the other.
Yeah.
So you're not sort of corralled to go down a particular line.
That's very, very nice to know.
And I think talk to local councillors, go and talk to your local district council. People would be more than willing to explain to you how things are done. Talk to your political parties, because they too would be helpful in giving you the information.
Yeah.
And, you can say, I'm interested, you could go along and you could be selected.
Yes.
That is the very beginning, because the selection is fine. You have to then work hard to get elected.
Yes. Yeah.
And and as I say, I just go out and knock on doors, because that's the way I've done it in the past.
Yeah.
It also means that people know what you look like. It also means you know what some people look like. You also
builds more trust, because you get a feeling.
Yes, but you also see people who say to you, "Oh, do you know about such and such and so and so?" And you pick up a lot of intelligence on what's going on in the local area.
Yes, yeah, yes, very good point.
So there's a lot of things that you learn just by doing that. So I have found it interesting. My husband doesn't always agree with me doing what I want to do.
That's right.
So yes, it's been interesting, and I've found it absolutely fascinating what I've learned and what I do.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to drop me an email and ask, how I do this, that, and the other, more than happy to respond, or even push them into an area where they could find the answer.
Oh, brilliant. That's great. Thank you very much. Lesley, it's been great. Thanks for coming back onto the programme today and for all the valuable information, because it is so difficult to learn about these types of things and to find out where you can get the information from. So it's great. And to get the real practical steps of how and why and what, it just makes it so much easier. So anyway, it's been a real pleasure speaking to you again and learning so much more about local government.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
It's been nice to chat to you as well.
Lovely. Thank you. We'd like to thank our guest, Lesley Clarke OBE, Council Leader, former Mayor and Chairwoman of the Women's Local Government, for sharing her expertise on the active role of women working in local government and how we really can make a difference. I'm Anna Letitia Cook. You've been listening to us at Women Up Radio. Thanks also to Meryl Guzel and Laura Martinez of UN Women's Empower Women for the wonderful work that they do to advance the case for women's equality today. And a big thank you to all of you who've listened in. I really hope you've enjoyed hearing Lesley. Don't hesitate to email her. I'll put all her contact details on the page, and also have a look at the website she recommended, Be a Councillor, because you'll get a lot of information on that. And any other questions or feedback, just send it through to us. We'd love to answer. You can find our social media and contact details through our website, womenup.global/radio.
Women Up Radio, designed to facilitate women's empowerment, improve your career, develop your talents, incorporate your passions, achieve fulfillment and success.